All right.
Number 4, Seven Samurai.
Which I actually watched within the last year or so.
You've watched it
I
recently?
watched it recently. I've seen it before, but we rewatched it.
Go
ahead.
Well, I'm a big fan of director Akira Kurosawa. It's his masterpiece, and he made a lot of great movies, so that's really saying something. Same thing about Kubrick earlier with 2001. The thing about these great directors is which one do you pick? You know,
it's kind of like Tarantino in my thing.
Tarantino.
I had to pick one,
You had to pick one, and you chose Kill Bill Volume 1. I'd pick Pulp Fiction, but there's really no wrong answer, I suppose. But I would say Seven Samurai is the film I think that really captures all the themes that Kurosawa is known for. Again, not a short movie. It's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
But it really shows a contrast between these poor farmers and these men who are men of honor, and they have a chance to fight for something, and for no other reason that it will help somebody else, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And is that enough? And it poses these kind of questions. It does deliver action too, but the drama is also thought-provoking. Everything you'd want in a great movie, and it's a truly visionary type of film, one of the great epics ever.
Toshiro Mifune really spawned a whole career for himself. That was one of his early movies, right? Correct.
He had been making films for about 5 years.
Well,
but it is the one that really
launchpad role, right?
From an international point, it really put him on the map.
Well, I mean, where I was going with that is, I mean, you can look back at Seven Samurai and his character, and you can see American filmmakers really grabbed his character and have replicated that, and he sort of set a standard, which became Sanjuro and Yojimbo as well. You know, which eventually became the spaghetti westerns and stuff. That's another thing. People get mad. People get mad, like, yeah, Magnificent Seven was a remake. It was a remake of Seven Samurai, and they'll get mad, like, what? No, it's not. That's the original. No. Magnificent Seven was a remake of Seven Samurai. Sanjuro, Yojimbo were remade into spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood. So eat shit. Akira Kurosawa did it first.
He did.
Sorry to tell you that. They're all remakes from him. But Toshiro Mifune, I'll just say Seven Samurai, sort of set a pattern for a modern hero. Somewhat anti-hero.
Right.
That was replicated over and over and over again. Toshiro Mifune, what I'm trying to say, was a landmark actor, and he was emulated by Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood. You know, without him, I don't know if you have Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, and a host of others. You know, because they really emulated what he did.
Right. Well, what's interesting is Kurosawa is the most Western of foreign directors.
Right.
So really, you get a sense with Seven Samurai and Yojimbo was the influence of directors like John Ford on Kurosawa, and the westerns in Hollywood and film noir in the 40s played a part, in Kurosawa's later work as well. So I think for us, you watching at home, you'll appreciate Kurosawa probably more than any other foreign director because his sensibilities were so much like America.
He said himself that the samurai movies were basically they were samurai versions of westerns.
The Old West, yeah.
Yeah, that was his way of making Japanese westerns.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, so number 4 for me, Rare's Lost Ark. Number 5 for you, Rare's Lost Ark.
Right.
Take it away.
All right. First of all, Steven Spielberg, one of the great directors of all time. Not just forget the box office. Also, from a critical point of view, the man's a great director. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. People see the box office success, but the actual talent and putting a film together and the storytelling, I think sometimes he doesn't get enough credit for that. That said, Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the great action films of all time, certainly. The convoy chase scene in the end is right. It has to be in the top 5 one of the great action scenes of all time. What can you say? It made Harrison Ford an icon.
Mm-hmm.
And also you had this kind of dream team, if you will, of Spielberg,
Lucas.
George Lucas, and Harrison Ford working together.
Yeah.
It was just the stars aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood magic happened, and I have nothing but just endless praise for this movie. But the action's fast, crisp. The characters are established economically, so there's never anything wasted in Raiders of the Lost Ark. You see so many films today,
Right.
and they're like, well, we got to add exposition. Look at the prequels for Star Wars. It like paying Lucas, I've got to get all this information out.
Yes.
And it was painful for us audiences to watch that.
Right.
Raiders of the Lost Ark has none of that. Lawrence Kasdan
It tells the story as it goes.
and Philip Kaufman wrote the script, and
Yeah.
both of them nailed it. They were able to economically establish all the characters without all the
Sure.
malarkey, and it ended up being movie magic.
Well,
Take
the thing is, it's the greatest action movie of all time. I said Die Hard was the greatest like modern action film. Greatest action film of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark in my book. Peril again, the running theme. Actual like you think that they might actually get hurt. The hero might actually suffer injury and pain and stuff. So there actually is a risk of a threat.
Yeah.
Might not work out okay. It sets all that up and just awesome action pieces that were. And it actually has sequences. Sequences are different than action scenes or shots. Transformers are just shots. You want? I'm picking on Transformers again, because it's a well-known comparison. But
Right.
the action scenes in Transformers are just shots. They're not built up and established, and there's no like arc to it. It just sort of starts and then ends. An action sequence actually has it slowly builds, and then it sort of takes off, and then there's action, and then it might even go up another notch, and the stakes get raised, and then it comes to a conclusion. But that's what Raiders of the Lost Ark does with each action sequence. It actually is a sequence of events. Plus, it's an action movie where the good guy actually fucking kills people. He actually shoots them and blows them the fuck away, which you don't get anymore hardly in movies.
Yeah. And
you get all these pussified heroes. The hero, Indiana Jones, literally took out his gun and fucking murdered people that got in his way. And I applaud that, and it's sorely missing in movies these days. I have to get that off my chest. So Indiana Jones was an icon and a hero, and that movie kicked so much ass because he lets a guy get chopped up with a propeller blade. He lets angels melt the faces off of these people. They're just evil, satanic Nazis. So it's awesome. They literally killed people. That's awesome. That's what you want hero to be, a man. Balls, has some balls.
Well, you touched on something a moment ago, which I have to say this. A lot of scripts nowadays, it's like, okay, now we're talking, here's a dialogue sequence, and then it comes to an action. You, as an audience member, you're watching the film, you can literally tell that the script had it where here's all the dialogue, and then had a section where they fight.
Yeah.
And then, okay, here's action scene. And what he was talking about earlier, like with Transformers as an example, you can see, okay, here's story. Okay, now we're stopping, fight. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the action is part of the story.
It furthers the story along.
It furthers the story along.
Same with Die Hard.
And Die Hard, another great example. That is so missing in today's action and blockbusters.
Yeah.
Is not to, they fail to incorporate the action into the actual story. It's just there so you don't get bored. I think everyone that has ADD, so we have to do this now so you won't get bored, and we don't want you to go to the bathroom or miss anything. So we got to keep you entertained at all times, whether it makes sense or not.
Yeah.
And that just drives me nuts. But Raiders of the Lost Ark totally nails it. The action is actually in the story.